Good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Conrad. This is Shannon.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today on Conradio. We are joined by a very special guest today. It's Brandon from All Ears Promo, and we get to learn a little bit about what he does and his journey to get back here to Oklahoma. Brandon, thanks for being on the show with us.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry,
Phone. All
who's
right.
calling you?
Probably my car guy.
Well, tell him you're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'll tell him, hey, call me later.
All right, Brandon, you said that you've been gone and you just got back in town. What was going on with that? Where did you go and what were you doing?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Midwest City, and but we moved to Texas when I was 15, and I kind of bounced around Texas for a while. I ended up in Austin, which is a great town. And then when I was 22, I went to New York City and lived there for about 16 years, and then ended up in Florida. I was. It sounds like I was running from the law, but
Yeah.
that's not what was happening. It was real life stuff. Got tired of New York City when I hit 40, and kind of got married, got a dog. Wanted a driveway and a dishwasher, and so we moved to Florida, and then
got great dishwashers
stayed
down
there for about 4 years, and. We did have a great dishwasher. Unfortunately, we did not have a great marriage, and
okay, all right. Well, dishwashers will do that to you.
Yeah, I married mine.
Yeah, for sure.
The dishwasher lasted longer than the marriage. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't last. And at the same time, my whole family was still back here in Oklahoma. And I just thought, I could sell my house in Florida now and, do pretty well with the market and kind of start over after the divorce and help my family out. My mom had knee surgery and that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's a great time to go see how the city has changed. And I got here, I think it was 2 months ago yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And
awesome.
The car that I ordered 7 weeks ago just finally came in.
Nice.
And so things are good. And it's been exciting to see how the city has changed.
That's really cool.
It has to be completely different than when you left.
Yeah, for
back
sure.
Then.
What industry was you in, if we could ask?
So
got you traveling.
Yeah, so I was, and partly still am, a professional piano player.
Okay.
I moved to New York to play on Broadway, and was mildly successful. I played on some Broadway shows like Mamma Mia, and I worked on the movie of the sequel, Mamma Mia 2. And did things like that, and then moved to Florida and played for theaters down there. And now that I'm here, I actually met with the Lyric Theater here in Oklahoma City, and I'll hopefully be playing for them next season. And then I also just got hired at OU to play for their theater department for the students who are training to go to Broadway someday. So I start that next month. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Well,
that's awesome.
You should probably be talking to my wife, not me. She's the one that's the professional bassoonist and traveled all around in theater and all that stuff. And she's teaching privately now, but I think she does that just so she can hang out with the kids. And
yeah, I got it. You got to do something to keep your chops up too, right?
Yeah, she's not. I didn't allow her to leave me, so because I knew if she tasted Broadway, we would be divorced too. So.
That's what I did.
Lose your dishwasher too. You know what I mean?
That's what I missed the most. Yes.
Well, so when you came back, it sounds like you've already within a couple of months made some good connections in the industry. What do you find different, especially being in New York, where that's where that city's built on that kind of background? Then going down to Florida, what are the difference between those two places and then getting back to Oklahoma City? Yeah. And how those three compare, I guess.
Well, it's a lot cheaper for one thing here. And it's just in my 20s and 30s, I was doing the musician thing full time, and it's a hustle. I mean, it can be really tough because you're busting your butt to get the next gig, and if you're lucky enough to get one, you don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah. And were you married? Were you married in New York, or is that where you met your wife? Or
Yep. Okay. Yep.
So you have to explain to her every day, I think I'm going to make money this week.
She was actually an actress, so we were both in that boat. So we never had any money at all.
Right.
And so it's tough. The longest steady gig I had was 13 months, which is really not that long. Mostly
getting used to something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Most of them were 3-4 weeks, maybe 6 months. I also did 4 national tours where I traveled the country in a big bus, basically doing the show in a different city every night.
And did she work on the shows with you ever, or was it always separate kind of deals?
No, it was separate, which is another thing that people in that industry have to deal with.
It's tough.
Your partner being gone for quite a while.
Yeah,
right.
I worked on a cruise ship for 4 months off in the Mediterranean. which was cool to see places like the Sistine Chapel and things like that. But it's it's tough. You're living on a cruise ship, and it's pretty tight quarters. And so I got a little tired of that, and that's when I started my company. Thankfully, I started it just before the pandemic because all the music stuff dried up as soon as that happened. And so fortunately, I was able to pivot pretty easily to doing my company full time. And now I think I found a nice balance.
So your company's is it more producing or is it more composing? What is it?
No, actually, the company has nothing to do with music. It's a complete 180, and I found that I liked it more than I thought I would. Because let me tell you, when the pandemic hit, I mean, my whole industry was just decimated. Like, there was no theater, no gigs, nothing. And so but again, I was lucky enough to find this before that, but a lot of my friends weren't, and they had to, move back in with their parents or do something that I don't want to know.
Find something. And at that point, now your options are even further limited because all of the jobs that were just for entry level or whatever, those are shut down too. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So fortunately, I did this about a year or two before the pandemic hit, so I was already kind of off and rolling with it. And basically, it's promotional products. So if a company needs things with their logo on it, I get them for them. And it can be anything, basic like a pen or a coffee mug, or it can be something a little more unique, like the OU Sooners football schedule on a refrigerator magnet that you put your logo on. That maybe bars would like to get their logo on those and hand them out to patrons or something like that. So that's pretty much what that is. And it's cool because I still get to be creative, because sometimes the client they don't know what they want sometimes.
Right.
They're like, hey, we've got a St. Patrick's Day event coming up and here's our budget. Can you find us something? And then I get to go dive into the, 800,000 products that are available.
For sure.
And get to be creative and come up with some ideas. Like, hey, look, here are 3 to 5 ideas. Tell me what you think. Oh, I love this. Oh, cool. Thanks so much. So it keeps me busy.
So you're the middleman, I'm assuming, on that kind of stuff. Then you're the one pitching, this is what I offer, but you're not the one printing it or doing any of that. You're just
exactly.
You're the graphic designer for these different clients.
I don't have a factory in my house or anything like that. I'm not churning out the t-shirts. No, you're exactly right. They send me their logo. It's honestly, there's not even a lot of graphic design to it. I have to know my way around Photoshop, but I'm not designing the logo or anything. Their logos are usually done. They send it to me, and then, like I said, they give me a budget. Like, for example, I had a plumber needed something the other day, and we have these refrigerator magnets that look like plungers.
Oh, dude, that's awesome!
And their logo goes on the handle here, and they just thought it was the cutest thing ever. And they got, I don't know how many, 500 or whatever.
Right.
And like, here's the Sooner schedule. It's just their football schedule.
Yeah,
nice.
And then the logo goes on the bottom. But you're absolutely right. We have factories that deal with these things that I just input.
The only reason I ask is because one of the first ladies that we interviewed, kind of doing this thing, meeting people in the area, she does a similar thing. She makes custom products but she does she prints them out on wood with a laser. She's got some sort of magic laser or something that she
Christmas ornaments
built or bought or stole from the Honey I Shrunk the I don't know what she did, but she's using it to cut out wood stuff. And of the people, she's the one that's sitting at a lake house in Colorado, chit chatting with us. And so as her laser does the work for her.
Well, and the whole interview was about a laser, because you can't just say laser on us knuckleheads and then us not ask you about a laser. So we had to ask if you're churning out, you got a laser.
You can't just talk to 2 laser owners.
There's 2 lasers. That's why all the
freaking laser.
That's why all the power drops in Oklahoma City. You guys turn your lasers on at the same time.
Right. I have stock in Devon. Yeah.
How do you meet customers? I mean, other than social media, are you going in and trying to introduce yourself personally to certain places, or are you meeting them through?
Online? You're it, baby. Like, this is my first. Like I said, I've only been here a couple months, and I just got a car last week, so I haven't had much of a chance to network. But it is about networking. And the lady you mentioned, that is so cool that she does that stuff herself. I will say that she probably does low quantity, because if she's doing the laser stuff herself, she's probably like, hey, somebody needs 10 of these signs or whatever. And God bless her, because that's probably hard work. I deal in more high quantity things, where, like, when a company needs 1,000 pins, in 3 days or whatever, and then I send it off to the factory and they get it done. But it's all about networking, because you're right. A lot of people do this. This is, it was something I found that didn't need a college degree, because all I was trained in was music, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, I married one of you. I know.
Yeah. You know what that's like. You're doing a podcast.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, and so this came across as something I could get into with it took like 6 months to learn what I was doing, but obviously didn't require a college degree. And so you're right, the entry into it is pretty easy relatively. So you just kind of have to be like, you have to be sociable, and you have to be somebody. If somebody has a choice between you and somebody else, then maybe they're going to go with the one who made them laugh, or whatever. And I play a lot of tennis. Tennis is my passion hobby, I guess. And I meet a lot of people on the court, and oh, what do you do? And I tell them, like, oh, well, since you just beat me in our match, why don't I buy 1,000 pins from you?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's awesome. You must kill at pickleball, because being.
Oh no, dude! Tennis players hate pickleball.
Do they? Is that a thing?
Say that.
Yeah, I like you. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's like you're talking to Jack Nicklaus, and you said, "Have you ever played mini golf?"
Yeah,
like, come on.
Pickleball is for people.
Yeah, but the trick is I've played with Jack Nicklaus, and he's a hell.
And I'm not Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, for sure.
No, pickleball is for people that are primarily they look like us. Same background, I guess.
Got it. Yeah,
but they're a little bit older.
Yeah.
They're a lot older, and then they sit around and say it's just a great workout. You got to say that all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's like, is it? You look exactly the same, dude.
My only connection with tennis is I worked for a small university in Kansas, Baldwin, Kansas.
And you taught Jimmy Connors.
At Baker University, and we had a exchange student from Tasmania, which I don't know. I don't know if you could do that, but he coaches gals in the NCAA tennis. So he was a good tennis player. He played himself, got him through college, and then started coaching. And I'm so upset with him, because he gets to tour the world with all these super attractive young ladies that play tennis and that look like supermodels, and he gets. And
did you ask him if he plays pickleball, or?
I did, and he said, "No."
Did you? You did. Wow.
Yeah.
He asks everybody. Don't worry.
It has nothing to do with tennis. I just asked about pickleball.
I don't even like pickles. Like,
wait a minute.
Hey, watch
out. Now you're stepping in some.
I know. That's the whole conversation for another time. Why the delis give you a pickle without asking is a story for another time. I hate it.
Hold the pickle. Brandon, you said you did some comedy. Did you do it out in New York just for fun, or just you want to stretch your legs, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in New York. I just, look at me. I got a funny face, and whatever. And so my friends were like, "Yeah, you should try comedy." And I was like, "All right." And so I did some stand up for about 6 months.
Awesome.
And and it was fun. It was cool. But then I realized, have you guys ever been to New York?
Yeah, I lived there for about 8 months. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay. So if you walk through Times Square, like, you're always being bombarded by people who are like, "Hey, come see my comedy show. It's tonight at 8:00. They're like kind of bothersome, and they're pushing things in your hand, and they're kind of forcing you. Okay. So what I found out is that you have to do that. Like, if you want time on stage, that's how they get the time on stage. Is by the number of tickets they're selling to tourists in Times Square. And I was kind of like, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't want to do this. Like,
California was that way with bands too. A lot of bands say, well, I'd like to go play Sunset. You can. It's just it's pay to play. So you buy so many tickets from the venue. So let's say I'm gonna pack the house for 200 tickets on a Monday. Right. But then it's up to you to sell all the tickets to basically recoup your money back, and then
if you don't, then you're just stuck with it.
Oh, you're out. Yeah, you're out. Whatever money tickets you didn't sell. So it's that way, and I can understand it. As a building or some place that has a venue that you can play or want to play, especially a historic one that you've always dreamed of playing or whatever. I get it going that way, but it's super difficult to get people that just came out of a pandemic, and still don't know what's going on, to drag them to any kind of show,
Right.
Well, I think it's always, even before that though, that's just the way that they set it up, the bringer shows, and then there's this like levels that you have to go through in order to get more stage time or get more consistent sets or whatever. And it's almost like a test that they're requiring you to go through. How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
That's
exactly right.
If they care about the comedy, because that's so subjective anyways.
Right.
And they think, so do you have the grit to get through this crappy part or whatever it is? How bad do you want to do this? And I'm a lot like you, where I could not be bothering people that I don't know to come see me, a stranger, do anything. You know,
that's exactly right. And if I had started it when I was in my 20s and I was super hungry to make it as a comedian or something, I probably would have pushed a little harder, and I wouldn't have cared so much about what strangers thought of me, shoving tickets into their hands and all that stuff. But I had already, at that point, been a successful musician, and I hadn't started my promo business yet, but I'd fallen in love with Broadway and music and that whole thing, and the comedy thing was just kind of a trial thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And I did enjoy it. It scares the hell out of you in a good way. Like it's great. And obviously I had the performing background. I was used to at least performing.
Right.
So I wasn't a stranger to that. But yeah, it was cool to do for 6 months. Kind of like the cruise ship. It's like I wouldn't do it again, but it was cool to say that I did it.
I don't know. The cruise ship thing seems almost as terrifying, and that's probably because I can't swim, dude.
You're.
And I'm afraid of heights, and that's something they never talk about with cruise ships. Is that's pretty tall, dude.
It's up there, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't have to worry if you were working on the ship. You wouldn't have to worry about it because you were in the bowels of the ship.
Oh, okay.
I know. Sometimes when I get sad,
you were the DiCaprio. So you were down the third class.
Yeah, I was floating on a door. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, seriously, it was like probably a 10 square foot room with a bunk bed because we had a roommate.
Oh, wow.
And this was the largest ship in the world at the time. This was literally this was a Royal Caribbean ship.
Yeah.
This would have been back in like 07, 08, and it was literally the largest ship in the world. We had a golf course.
Seas, dude.
Yeah.
I think
It was the Voyager of the Seas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very
dude,
similar.
my only familiarity with that ship is when they come out with it, because they were big promotions. This is the largest ship, so it makes your lizard brain go back to the Titanic, and it's like, oh, this would be like the modern day Titanic, and they could fit. They said like 1,000 Titanics into this ship or something.
Right.
The perspective.
Right. I mean, it's massive. You don't
but
even.
What
feel
they did, I might have seen you, is they had a live stream camera on the ship at all times. That if you went to their website, you could actually watch people mingle around the malls or whatever at a few different locations. And so I would spend way too much time watching people on a cruise ship because it was hilarious. It's like they don't even really know what's happening. Probably have no idea it's happening. And I'm just sitting there like, what's this guy doing?
Brandon, what I don't understand is if you would have more room instead of having a bunk mate and having 2 hammocks in a 6 foot by 6 foot room, if they would just cut out the go-kart track and maybe the roller coaster, the 18 pools, the
golf course,
all that stuff. If they would cut that off the top just a little bit, I mean, make it fun, put in a casino, something for the kids, but give the rooms a little bit,
Well, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The rooms for the passengers were amazing.
Oh, sure. But the crew, you got to keep the crew happy. That's where mutinies come from.
They don't care.
I mean,
you're getting a free
They don't care. Yeah, what do they care?
Yeah. You smuggle in like a piano, as long as you don't have like a saber for a mutiny, you're fine. Come on in,
Right. I mean, there were like 1,800 crew members on this ship. It was huge.
That's
and
amazing.
I think like 2,400 passengers.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was a 7-day. Yeah, it was a 7-day cruise. So every 7 days, we got those 2,400 got off, and a new 2,400 got on.
Wow.
Like it was crazy for 4 months.
Did you have to help them with that?
It was crazy how many people wanted to do this.
Because they have a thing.
And I don't think any of them were saying that the rooms were too small.
Yeah.
Right.
I watched this documentary on like how the cruise ship will flip when it comes to port and they're starting another. So they go down to like the 0 hour, I think is what they called it. But when they have to restock all the food and they have to refuel and they have to get rid of all the garbage and they have to all this stuff, they're getting this done within like a 9-hour window as people are getting loaded onto the ship. And when you watch it, it's like like when you watch loggers documentaries, or why do they make these things that as you watch it, you just get such anxiety? It's like
everything has to work exactly right.
Here, enjoy your evening and watch this guy almost want to kill himself every week, by having to get all the food. And he's going around, this is 18 million oranges, dude. And he's like inspecting them. Nope, this one's bad. I need 18 million oranges in an hour. And he's calling people and, they're shooting planes down to get oranges. And meanwhile, passengers are getting on, give me a drink. This is great. It's like, underneath, everybody's going crazy.
Where's the casino?
I would just to be around.
Yeah, because if one person on a ship gets sick.
Oh. What about deaths on cruise ships?
Oh, they just throw them overboard. I think.
No, but a lot of people die on cruise ships that you don't even think about.
They do.
Was you married at the time when you was on the cruise ship, or was you single at the cruise ship?
No, actually, I was single on the cruise ship.
Oh, nice!
That must have been nice.
Yeah,
which is good because it is a party atmosphere.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, not that I was ever really into that stuff because I'm just not good with that stuff. But it was like we had our own separate like club and bar and restaurant for the passengers because they made for the crew. I mean, because they made a huge deal about not mingling with the passengers too much. They said, listen, if we catch any of you going into a passenger's room, we will literally drop you off at the next port and you will have to fly your way back to America.
Wow.
Like this was in the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah,
they were like, we will push you overboard.
Wow. Because our next port's Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Good luck. You know. Yeah, because I'm assuming it was because they had so many lawsuits from passengers having too many drinks and maybe inviting the cute busboy or whatever into their room, and then the next morning remembering that they were married or something.
Sure.
And so
that's why, yeah.
That's
so why I go to Vegas, dude, because at least I can still hope to get like a kiss from Wayne Newton.
Yeah,
I know he's out and about
for sure. He's a Shenandoah, Casa Shenandoah.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been there.
Right, that's not all you'll get from him.
That's true. That's right.
I'll get some stock tips, dude.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I wouldn't do it again though, not in my 40s.
Well, Brandon, you sound like you've had a well-traveled, wonderful experience up to now, and now. Well, I mean, you know, now you're a business owner, and that must be exciting. You've owned your business for a couple of years, and it sounds like things are doing pretty good. You got a new car to look forward to.
What car did you get?
Yeah, what car did you order?
It's just a Mazda CX-30.
Okay.
I mean, it was, you know, it's not like
nobody's
well,
ever
no, I'm just saying it wasn't like a Tesla or something like that. Right. Like it's just a Mazda, but you know, there's a chip shortage. There's a whole big thing happening in the world right now.
They keep saying stuff like that. We don't believe it.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it was
never ordered a car.
It was weird. No. It was weird. Like I kept getting, I got like 6 dates pushed back. Like, oh yeah, it's coming, you know, June 5th. No, it's June 19th. Now it's July 20th, you know. And finally I kind of lost my patience and like it showed up the next day. And I was like, okay, so.
It's almost like they knew when you're going to make the call and say, forget it, cancel it.
Right.
Exactly. And I was almost there, honestly. I was like, I'm just going to go buy $1,000 car on Facebook or something and just have a car.
What did you do to get around town? You're in Oklahoma City, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I am. I just like freaking begged new friends for rides. No, I was just like if I was playing tennis, I'd be like, "Hey, can you swing by and get me or something?" You know, and like.
No, we can't. We're busy playing pickleball, dog. Where are you?
Everybody here is so friendly. They were like, absolutely, I'll be happy to.
Yeah.
And then of course I felt like I was back in high school because you know, like I said, my family still lives here. I was like, Mom, can I borrow your car on the weekend when you don't need it? She's like, okay, but have it in by 10.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
come over for dinner first. I gotta see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mom.
Come pick me up. We'll go to Brahms, and then you can drop me off. Go to 10. You know, I was like, okay, Mom, I'm 44. Thank you. Thank you for the car, though.
And you're like, I mean, you came from New York, so you're like, oh yeah, Brahms. I forgot that was even a thing.
Oh my God, dude! Yeah. Brahms, Whataburger, Sonic. Like, I miss all the things.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna gain so much weight now that I'm here.
We're Oklahoma kind of Kansas cats, so we're cousins. But you know, we grew up in Kansas way, but still have a lot of family on Oklahoma, and then we just moved down not too long ago. So we're much like you, it's kind of settle in. I think I've been here 5 years. I think I lived in Guthrie for a couple of years, and then kind of looking around, finding out if this is where we're gonna put down roots.
Exactly.
And got lucky enough to where I worked at OSU and wife was working at OU, so we kind of picked a middle ground there. And so
nice.
Got lucky before the pandemic and got a little place, and then he moved down in January last year.
This year.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'm new.
So we're all
to the area.
New. Yeah, we're all kind of new
for sure.
Yeah.
But I still have to drive. I kind of can relate to having to have favors from family or friends, because when we moved down, we rented our house out in Kansas just to see how that process would work, like a learning experience that you're going to get burned on. So we might as well do it and give us a story to tell. But so now I don't have a place. I still have to go back because we can't make money doing a podcast, obviously. No. So I have to go back to Kansas every weekend to cut grass. And then I just have to call a family member to be like, hey, can I stay tonight? You know,
right.
Yeah. And they're all happy about it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when I decided to leave Florida, I toyed with the idea of just keeping my house and renting it out so that I'd have income. It's tempting because you're like, oh, that'd be great to have income, coming in while you're in Oklahoma. But then I was like, actually, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you get no income. It just I mean, it's great that it pays for itself, and so the hope is nothing major goes wrong.
Happens,
that's right.
But that's just you're just hoping, dude, and people vote for that all the time.
Brandon, where was you out in Florida? Well, I mean, whereabouts?
So it was actually just east of Tampa. Well, all the way across the island, the peninsula. It's on the east coast, on the Atlantic side.
I got you.
But exactly perpendicular from Tampa. It's called Vero Beach, Vero.
Cool.
And it's this little, actually, kind of a retirement town. 20, 30,000 people.
Oh,
and
awesome.
But it happens to have this really large regional theater there, and people go to shows there from 100 miles away because the closest thing is Orlando.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky enough to work there until the pandemic hit, and then, like I said, there was nothing. I went down and worked in Miami. I did a show. I did Les Miserables in Miami. I did a show called Waitress up in Jacksonville.
Right.
So I had to drive around a lot, but like I said, the pandemic just killed everything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Well, luckily it didn't kill everybody, though.
No,
it
killed everything. Yes.
Yeah, killed all the jobs, but now we can just sit around and suffer and remember the good old days.
Yeah, good old days.
Yeah,
we had a job.
And then my ex-wife's mom moved down to that same town, and that's when I was kind of like, you know what, I'm out of here. This is
this is too the supermarket,
right?
Hey.
Yeah. Well, we belonged to the same tennis club, and I'd see her like every freaking day. And I was a couple of months of that. I was like, you know what, good luck, guys. I'm gonna go back to Oklahoma.
Well, did you have children, or it doesn't sound like you had a lifestyle where you had children? So at least there was none of that kind of collateral damage.
You're right. We had the dog, which is actually the logo of my company, All There's Promos, and unfortunately, I had to keep him. I had to leave him with her there in Florida, and honestly, that's the hardest part. I mean,
did you have like an emotional fight one night? I was like, but that's my logo,
right?
It's on my.
He's copyrighted.
Yeah, it's gotta be with
this guy's coming with
me. We both made a lot of mistakes with the marriage, but the one thing I will say that I did, I think, correctly is that I knew that if I was the one leaving, then I really didn't have a case to say that I'm taking him with me. Like, I knew that he kind of belonged there. With
he loves
his mom.
proms,
and the beach. He likes the tennis courts.
But I said I am taking him as the logo, so you can't you can't fight me on that.
Right.
And so that's what we kind of decided on. So I could still use him as the logo, and she could.
So do you have clients that are still down there though? Because you can do this stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've got clients in New York. I've still got clients in Florida. I have clients I've never even met. Like in Washington State, for example, there's a small airport that uses me because they happen to find my website.
That's
awesome.
And
I've never met them. It's all online. I have some emails back and forth about exactly what they're looking for, but never met them. There's some like federal cemeteries that have strangely found my website.
Okay.
Like
coffin magnets, maybe.
These huge, you laugh, but yes.
yes.
No, and special envelopes for like deeds for the cemetery. It's really, it's actually kind of strange. But it's like there's one in San Antonio that uses me. It's like a government cemetery, like a military cemetery.
Wow.
And so it's kind of an honor, to be honest, to be able to get that stuff for them. And with so many products, I don't always know what I'm able to get and what I'm not able to get. So somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, do you have a cemetery deed envelope?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, let me check. You always say yes, of course, and then you go running to Google or Facebook or to your catalog, and you're like, "Wait a second, we do actually have those."
Exactly.
So it's a cool industry.
Well, it's interesting. It would to me be like so stressful because I guess that's what we do anyway. You sit around and think of your competition. It's like, but you're right, where there really isn't competition if you can sell, because people don't want to deal with it. Even if I sold parts for 3 or 4 years, where all of this stuff is available, it's a Google search away. But the people that are calling, they don't want to do the Google search.
Yeah.
They don't got time.
That's exactly
they want to go run their business.
Yep.
And so they call me because they can trust that whatever. It doesn't even be.
You get it done, and you're nice.
It's just all. It's a whole package of. I'll just call them and say, "This is what I want," and I know I'll get it. And it's not.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
When I first started doing this, I would just basically like send people catalogs. Like I would make the initial contact, and they would say, "Okay, sure, I'd love to use you." And then I'd be like, "Great," and then I'd send them like an 800-page catalog, and I'd be like, "Take a look here and see what you think." Yeah. Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah, like, this is Sky Mall.
That does not work. Yeah, exactly. It's not. You don't want to be Sky Mall. Exactly. Yeah. You're exactly right. You want to be the guy who actually takes the time to come up with the ideas and says, "Look, here's 3 to 5 ideas for you," so that you've done their job for them. You are basically their marketing person.
Yeah.
And then they can look at it and be like, "Oh, that's so great. I'll take this." And then you got them. And then anything they need in the future, they'll just come to you first because yes, you're right. They could go to Vistaprint or whatever. But then they're having to do all that work. They're having to design it. They're having to pick out the item. They're having to troubleshoot if it goes wrong. And good luck getting someone on the phone at Vistaprint.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
whereas I'm just a phone call away.
You're a phone call away. And the thing is, maybe you're like me, and I always thought that was the fun part. You know, like if there's we need to design a logo, or we need to get this, and the different businesses I've been a part of. Mm-hmm. And my dad like, well, maybe we can call it. I'm like, I can do that. You know, I know how to do that. And so I would look at him like, you could also do this. Right, and he'd be like, I don't want to do it. But I thought it was fun. I was like, really? I never really thought of it as, I guess I should have been charging him. You know, I never.
Yeah.
That's what I should have been doing. Yeah.
And some of the smaller companies, you know, it's unfortunate because you get their logo and you kind of look at it and you're like, did you design this yourself? Like this? Did you use like someone on Fiverr or like how did you get this logo? Like it's like a JPEG.
I made it in Paint.
Yeah, exactly. Did you use Microsoft Paint for this?
Exactly.
I had one person
think that.
I had one person send it in Microsoft Word.
Nice.
And I was like, that's actually impressive that you did a logo in Word.
Yeah, much easier to use this other program, but all right. Yeah.
But generally, the larger companies, you know, will have a graphic designer person, or, you know, and honestly, they can send us a JPEG, and we'll just transfer it to the correct artwork for them for a small fee, and you know, we can take it from there. And again, that's just not something they want to. When I first started this, I'd be like, listen, do you have a vector art file for this? And they'd be like, I don't know what that is. And I don't care. And I was like, okay, so now I'm learning they don't care about that stuff. So now I just say, look, point me in the direction of your website or send me a JPEG and we'll take it from here.
Yeah.
And that way they don't even have to worry about anything.
Yes.
Because we can transfer, obviously we can't do anything with the JPEG, but we can transfer it to usable art that we can make in any size to put on any product they're going to get between today and forever. Yeah. You know, if it's something small like a pen, or if it's something large like a beach towel, the vector art is going to be the same quality.
We should get beach towels.
Unlike a JPEG, which, by the way, you should get beach towels.
Yeah, for sure.
So
dude. We have them. They're around the studio. Yeah. So we use for our sound buffer.
And there you go. And so they don't, but again, they don't want to know about that stuff. They just want you to do your job and to get the product in the mail in a couple of weeks and to be excited about it.
Yeah, we ran into a little bit with the taco truck. We have a mutual friend on the other show. His wife, she's part of a printing company that's out of Wichita.
A lot of screen printing and things like that.
And she's been doing it for a long time. But it was the same kind of deal where there's a lot of programs I was already familiar with from the different, just whatever we were doing, whether it be show stuff or whether it be my dad's businesses or whatever. But when calling her, it's like, well, I need the vector file. I need all these different things. And she could do them for me. You know, she's like, I can, same thing as you. But as it comes back to me, it's like, well, if this is something that people are needing now, if this is the new standard in how images are displayed on there and how you can transform them, then I need to figure out how to do them, you know? And so that's the way I look at everything. And I understand, because it is there is a skill to it. There is a learning to it, and you should be competent. I mean, there is something there that apparently a lot of people don't want to take the time because it's not what they do. You know, they do whatever it is their business is. So
it's just another form of editing. I can't send you a song and say, Brandon, I need this cleaned up. Can you remaster it? Just by saying that, it's easy to say, but you know, to kind of perfect that and have any kind of talent in that's worth something. Right. And you took your time to learn programs, to know, maybe even just know, hey, this needs a little bit more mids or whatever, and then in order to compress it down and make it better. That is, I mean, in any kind of thing, it's worth it. Something else that person didn't have to do. It's a service. So.
Yeah, I mean, for better or worse, I've always kind of functioned best when I'm kind of left alone. Like I taught myself how to play the piano, which is the only reason I'm bringing that up is because for me, learning it in the first place was kind of an escape mechanism because I wasn't exactly popular as a kid. Huge glasses and acne and the whole 9 yards. And so and I wasn't good at sports back then, not even pickleball.
It's not a sport.
That's not even tennis, which was not a sport back then, and it might still not be a sport.
It's still not a sport, right?
I'm not sure. My apologies to all the pickleball players out there.
Sure,
they don't know the podcast.
No, they don't. They can't.
Good. So for me, kind of holding myself up in my room and learning how to play this instrument was kind of to avoid playing sports, where I'd be hit with the ball or something. And then fortunately that was able to lead to something that I was able to make a living at. And then I was able to circle around and find sports later in life.
That's awesome.
But yeah, same kind of deal. When the pandemic hit and I had all this spare time on my hands, I just kind of like dove into Photoshop and the promo industry and how to do this and that and the other, and just kind of winged it. Made some mistakes, obviously, some costly mistakes at first, and might have lost a friend or two, because maybe they needed something. Yeah. I mean, you'd be amazed. I need 300 glasses with my logo on it, by Tuesday, and you're like, okay, and then you screw it up, and it just doesn't happen, and now their bar event is ruined or something.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you go through some growing pains like that, and you lose some money. But you come out of that, and you eventually know what you're doing, and fortunately 5 years later, it seems to be okay now.
That's awesome. Well, where can we send people to reach out for your services? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people, even if there's one person that's like, I know somebody that could use.
We just talked to Remax, and Remax might, the local Remax might be like, they're always looking for what do they do? The weather balloon, not the weather balloon.
They do
the big balloon.
They got Remax. But they got the calendar. They do all kinds of.
They got all kinds of stuff.
Some flyers, all kinds of
for
stuff.
Sure.
Yeah,
I steal something from Remax every time I'm there.
That's true. Pins. I mean, they give stuff away, magnets and stuff.
Right. These are perfect items for stealing. Yes,
right.
Perfect stealing items. So the name of my company is All Ears Promos, as in give us a call. We're all ears.
Okay.
And so it's All Ears Promos with an S at the end .com.
With an S. Don't forget the S.
Yeah, the S is at the end. We have more than one. We have more than one promo. So it is All Ears Promos. I actually wrote a jingle for my company. So that's been actually one of the cool things I've been able to do is kind of meld the two industries that I work in together. And I actually have written some jingles for clients as well.
That's awesome.
Sell them some products and then also write a jingle for them. And so I wrote one for myself, which I won't be performing for you right now, but
that's awesome.
It's online. And so basically, for promotional products that last years and years, give us a call. We're all ears. That's
all right, dude. Well, we'll send as many people we can your way, and this will be up today. And so feel free we'll share it or tag you in it. And so, feel free to share it or don't, or whatever you want to do, but we'll do as much as we can. So thank you for coming on, dude.
Thank you.